Here we are inside the Coachman VIP 675. If we firstly come to the main control panel just here, you will see that it's letting us know we have main supply connected just in the corner here, and it's displaying the time. If we now press this button, we will now turn the 12-volt system on, and now we can turn the water pump on. The water pump needs to be on so we can get water out of the taps and fill the boiler up if it's been drained down. Next we have master button for all of the onboard lights, and then they can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. The one beneath it turns the awning light on and off, and then if we then use the arrow buttons here, we can then scroll through to get information. So we can get information regarding the leisure battery, the internal temperature, and then we can go to the settings menu. This doesn't show up particularly well on the camera, so I will explain what I'm seeing. So if I now press enter to go into that, we can adjust the display, so the contrast of the screen, how quickly before it goes into standby. We can adjust whether or not it beeps when we press a button. We can adjust the temperature unit, so whether you prefer it in Celsius or Fahrenheit. We can turn notifications on and off, so for example at the moment if the leisure battery is low, it will let you know the firmware that this control panel is running, and then we can then save and exit, and then after that we then return back to the beginning again. Beside that control panel we then have the Aldi control panel for your heating and hot water. So the panel is currently on at the moment. We turn it on and off on this one here, and it's displaying again, letting us know that we have main supply connected and the internal temperature of the caravan. If I now press menu, it will take us to its basic functions. So the top one just here is for your heating. It is literally just plus and minus. Pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the caravan, and it will basically go right the way up to a very toasty 30 degrees. Beneath that we then have hot water, so hot water off, hot water on, and then hot water on a boost. The boost facility was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one person having a shower in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost and the heating is actually running, the heating will turn off because it needs to take that power to perform the boost. Next we have power source. So at the moment we haven't selected a power source, so nothing has actually come on at the moment. So if we're going to run the system on mains, we come to this one here where we've got the little picture of the lightning strike, and we can run on mains at 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts, just depending on the ampage of the site that you're on, to stop yourself from tripping. And if we don't have main supply, we can run on gas. If you do have both supplies available to you, what you can do is run in dual fuel. This is particularly handy, especially in the winter months, if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use gas as it's required. The ACC is for the workshop, so you cannot gain access into it just here. If we now press the cog button, we can then go into the settings menu and we can set timers. So we have a moon for the night timer, on and off up the top here. Set the temperature you would like it to be for that time period. Set your time periods in this one here. And then we can also invert the backlight if we want to, and tell the boiler that you do not want hot water made throughout that period. And then we have exactly the same again, but for the daytime. Your next one is prioritize, and this is basically what the system prioritizes whilst in dual fuel. So at the moment it will favour main supply over gas. If you were on a really low amp site, what you can do is make it so it consumes more gas, less electricity. Next we have just the brightness of the screen. This one's not used on this model. And obviously if you're going to be using night mode, day mode, etc. for the timers, we can set all the time of day, etc. just here. If we now arrow down, again, all of these are for the workshop. But you will find here that we have a load monitor. So if you arrive on site and you know how many amps the actual site is, you can select on here. And then it really doesn't matter what you're running here, because it will limit itself and stop you from tripping. Because that is now an activated function, it will appear here. And then we can then go back to it and turn it on and off. If we then arrow down again, we have antimicrobial just here. This will only work if you have a night mode active. Basically at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, the boiler will come on, heat up rapidly to kill off any bacteria that might be in the system. We then have temperature offset for the onboard thermostat, so if you don't think it's quite correct, you can tweak it by a few degrees. High altitude mode, so if you are using the caravan 1,000 meters above sea level, you can activate this, and then the system will run better at that different air pressure. If you want button beeps on, instead of having multiple timers, you can just have one delayed start and stop to the system just here. Pump settings, just leave it set on thermal. We do not want the fluid in the radiators continually running when it's not required. Full factory reset, so if there was a problem, you can reset the system. External start, you do have to have additional boxes added, and then you can then control your heating and your hot water via a smartphone or a tablet. Language. Service, again, more for the workshop, but if you click on it you can see what the water temperature is and what the temperature of the ethylene glycol in the radiators is at. Installed accessories, there's nothing else really in here that you require. Load monitor has already been activated, and then we go back round to the beginning again. Next, if we go actually across to this bench seat just here, we can see the Aldi boiler. To drain the Aldi boiler for travel and for winterization, we have two drain valves. So we have one for the cold feed and one for the hot feed just here. All we need to do is make sure that the water pump has been turned off, and then flap them both up into this position just here. To refill it, flap them both over like so, fill up your aqua roll, drop in your submersible, and then turn the water pump on, and it will then begin to prime the boiler back up again. I always suggest that when you are fully winterizing the caravan, that you also go round and open up all the taps. That way, if there was a harsh frost, what we hope will happen is that as the water freezes, it will be forced out the end of the taps into icicles instead of expanding into the pipework. It will, when opening these as well, also aid in draining, because it can help release airlocks. When you have done this, when it comes to repriming the system up, when you turn the taps on, they will cough and splutter for a bit. Just wait until the water's flowing freely like it is now, and then close them back up again, and then the system will fully prime. Also in here we have the alarm box just here, some of the gas isolation taps for the caravan. They are all in the on position, and I do say they can really stay like that I always suggest that if you smell gas in the van, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. We have the solar panel regulator just here. We do not need to do anything with it. It will just smart charge the leisure battery as it's required. So you will see a green flashing light at the moment, letting you know that it is currently popping a charge in. Tucked here, you have the fuse for the solar panel. And then if we undo the flap just here, we have the consumer unit. So we have the 3 individual MCBs, and they're all labelled up, letting you know what each one isolates. We then have the main RCD and the test button just here, and then we have all the 12-volt fuses just here, and again they're all labelled up. The actual battery charger itself just sits here to make sure that nothing is obstructing it, because obviously it does get warm. We have the microwave just here. It is plugged in just here. This is an eco model, so to use it you do need to hold this button in and it will then turn on. We then have the usual stuff: quick start, stop, minute selection just here, auto cook up the top, etc. The hob, like the microwave, we have one electric hot plate that will work when we're hooked up to the main supply, and it operates just here, and the little red light comes on to let you know it's in operation. All the rest of the rings are gas, and that is just push in, twist, and then push the igniter. With this particular model of hob, if the gas is running and we pull down the lid, it will automatically shut the gas off. We then have the grill, and again push in, twist, and then press the igniter. And beneath that we have the oven. We do not need to press the igniter for that. It has its own separate one, so as soon as we twist this and then push it in, it will then ignite. And we also have a courtesy light just here. Beneath the oven we have the usual little storage compartment, but we also have just tucked up here the plug for the hot plate. We have the Dometic fridge freezer just here, on and off on this button. And this model is an automatic model, so as long as we're on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for us. So because we're hooked up to main supply at the moment, it's put us directly onto mains. If I ran outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we hitch up to a tow vehicle, start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12-volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto. It's just a matter of just selecting what you would like, so gas or 12 volt. If for any reason it fails to light on gas, the unit will start to beep and you will get a red flashing light here. If you think it may just be due to having a bit of air in the system, etc., we can press this button here as it shows here, and it will reset and it will then try to ignite itself again. Temperature control just here. In this wardrobe just here we have the header tank for the Aldi heating. All we need to make sure is that the fluid is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once you have run the heating up to temperature, as the fluid will expand in the tank. If it does need topping up, you can do it yourself if you wish, just by undoing the cap here. Do make sure though that you are topping it up with the correct Aldi solution. Above my head just here we have the Omnivent fan. To use this we just need to wind the roof vent open, and then we have on, and then we have extraction and cooling. Variable fan speed just by pressing. And then just make sure that we're back down for travel. The stereo is just located in the corner here, on and off on the button that says SRC. We do have USB connectivity and auxiliary connection just here, CD in there as well, change tracks and search for radio stations just here, volume control, and then if we push the volume control button we can then go into its menu and then just rotate so we can change treble, bass, etc., illumination, set the clock if we wanted to, etc. And then SRC to turn it back off again. The bed just comes up on gas struts and has plenty of storage beneath. And then as we come into the washroom, we have the shower just here. And then the basin. And then the Dometic toilet. To use the Dometic toilet, we need to pull this lever just here to basically open up to the cassette itself, and then it's push to flush just here. With these particular Dometic toilets you will get an illumination to let you know when the cassette is half full and full. You will get an illumination when you need to top up the header tank for your flush water, and you will also get an illumination if you have not inserted the cassette itself correctly. When towing the caravan, do make sure that the washroom door here is secured so it does not slide about.